Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wake Up Report. And I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving holiday. If you are like me, no doubt you are still recovering from too much turkey, too much ham, too much sweet potato pie, too much potato salad, too much coleslaw, too much macaroni and cheese, too much rice, too much gravy, too much cranberry sauce, a little bit more macaroni and cheese, a little bit more turkey, a little bit more cake and pie. But, after all that, we pack it away and we wait a while so we can do it again in a couple more days with the leftovers. So with that being said, though, we got to get back into doing what it is that we do. So let's get back to the news. Some good news out of Chicago. There has been a break in the Tyshawn Lee murder case. The Chicago Police Department announced charges on Friday. They picked up a gang member, 27-year-old man, and this individual is going to be charged with first-degree murder. Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy identified the suspect as Corey Morgan of Lansing, Illinois. Mr. Morgan was charged with first-degree murder. Superintendent McCarthy said that Mr. Morgan had at least two other accomplices. One person he has not been charged yet. The other person they're still looking for. They don't know what role the other two individuals played, but it's probably luring the kid into the alley and setting him up so they could murder this young man. One other guy is still out there, and no doubt, I guess they are going to catch this guy, and hopefully, they will do this kid right, and put these clowns under the jail if they have to. And I don't know if Chicago has a death penalty, but if there was anyone ever so deserving, being electrocuted, lethally injected, thrown off the top of a building, put into a hole and stoned to death, or whatever it is you want to do, these individuals certainly deserve it. Mr. McCarthy did say that Tyshawn was targeted because of his father's gang ties. The father has denied being involved in any gang activity, and he's been pretty busy himself, I guess, with being on probation for a 2011 armed robbery conviction, an arrest in June of 2014 with unlawful use of a weapon, which violates the 2011 parole, I guess. So, so I don't know. He's been quite the busy bee himself, so maybe, he's so busy committing other crimes, he just didn't have time for the gang crimes that he, used to commit, or, didn't have time to commit, So Mr. McCarthy, in the story that I read, went on to give some very quote-worthy responses to this entire incident. Mr. McCarthy telling reporters, "I can tell you this: they are going to be obliterated. That gang just signed its own death warrant." McCarthy added, he's going to assign police resources to ensure that neither one of those gangs can raise their heads again. Of course, the two warring factions, with the boy getting caught in the middle. So according to Mr. McCarthy, now they're going to launch an all-out war against these two gangs, and they are going to just obliterate them, wipe them off the face of the earth, make them wish they were never, ever, ever born. Tyshawn Lee was murdered in probably the most abhorrent, cowardly, unfathomable crime I have witnessed in 35 years of policing, Mr. McCarthy told reporters. He is so outraged. He is so just distraught and angry about this cowardly, unfathomable crime that Mr. Morgan was given a $1 million bond, and he posted himself out at $100,000. What is the problem here? This guy has been charged with first-degree murder. So I decided to look up first-degree murder, because I figured, well, maybe, if you can bond yourself out of it at 10% of what they were going to hold you at, then maybe first-degree murder isn't the worst of the ones that you can do, So got on and found first-degree murder, and also found second-degree murder and manslaughter. So now we can find out the difference between acts of murder. So first-degree murder, you know who you want to kill, you think about it, You plan it out, then you commit the crime. Second degree, you get pissed off at somebody and you wind up killing them, but you did not plan to do it. And manslaughter is when you accidentally kill somebody. You know, you, swerve off the road or something like that. You accidentally hit somebody or something like that. So given the three definitions, it would seem like first degree murder would be the absolute worst thing you could commit, but not in the city of Chicago, apparently, because you can catch a guy, you can charge him with first degree murder, but you can still let him bond out and walk the streets. Now, don't you think if it were me or probably any of us with a possibility of the death penalty or life in prison, that once you bond out, what is the likelihood that you are ever going to see me again? I would rather take my chances being a wanted fugitive than come back to court so you can tell me, yeah, well, we decided we're going to keep you for first degree murder when you had me to begin with. So I just think that that's just absolutely ridiculous. When you commit crimes as heinous as this, there should be no bonding out. Once you're caught, you're held. You're held over until trial. You find out if there's enough evidence, you compile that evidence, and the next time you would see that person in court, this is why you're being charged. This is what you did. You're going to be bound over for trial. And if you're found guilty, bam, you know, you're gone. Your life in prison or your the death penalty. So, but at the same time, I did a story a while back. This is the same Chicago that let two heroin dealers who damn near poisoned an entire neighborhood with, I guess, cut up or stepped on heroin. You let them post out. And if you never hear from these guys again at that point, that's why I say you can't blame the criminal. So it will be a shame and a disgrace if this guy disappears and they cannot find him again. When you had him, don't let people bond out for crimes that are this heinous and this horrific. You got him, hold on to him and keep him over until you got to take these knuckleheads to trial. So I hope that this boy's death is not made a mockery out of by an incompetent justice system that doesn't see fit to hold on to people who commit first degree murder. You know, for some things you just should not be able to bond out of. You know, this definitely is something. You know, you don't pay your parking tickets and you get arrested, you can bond out for that. You know what I'm saying? Just things like that. But for stuff as serious as this, absolutely not. So, but anyway, the good news, though, is that they did make a break in this case. They did arrest two people at least, and they're looking for a third. And hopefully, if all three of these people are the right individuals, then do right by Tyshawn Lee, bury these cats. Knock the bottom out of hell if you have to. But Mr. McCarthy, stick to your word. And if you're going to wage war on these gangs and you're going to obliterate these gangs and you're just going to wipe them off of the face of Chicago, keep your word and do that, man. Do that to honor that boy and do that to honor all these other children so they can have someplace safe to grow up and be safe in. This is KTM and the Wake Up Report saying think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.